Hey, how's it going, everybody? Last week, I did a comparison between Genji and Energy and some of the conversations that were going on. And this week, because of the positive response, we're going to be focusing in on Moist and K-Corp. Two teams that I personally think are kind of fighting for that top spot in Europe right now. I think there's some conversations about Quadrant, BDS, and where they're going to turn around to and all that kind of stuff. But primarily Moist and K-Corp, especially with the changes and Vatira leaving and all that kind of stuff, has led to some pretty interesting conversations. As you can tell by the title of this video, I think both teams are clearly jockeying for a position of potentially being in the conversation for the best in Europe or second best or something. Both of them are most definitely in the top three, which I think is really great. So there's some replays and stuff that I want to pay attention to. This one hopefully doesn't go as long as I think it might, because there's a lot of things to point out. We just got lucky because we got to see these teams play twice. The first time was in round 4 of Swiss, where Moist ended up taking a victory. And then again in the semifinals where they met, where K-Corp took a victory. And while the series scores 3-1 and 4-1 respectively look convincing, on the field it's a lot closer than that may show. So in today's video, we're going to break down some of the things that I noticed that I really enjoy about both these teams, and why some of the criticism one of the teams that just won a regional in North America are getting, people should be a little bit more reserved on, because the demo plays are aplenty between these two teams. Take a look. All right, we're starting off with Moist in round 4 of Swiss, where they ended up winning 3-1. Game 1 was pretty standard. Started off with a bunch of saves from K-Corp, nothing too threatening from Moist. K-Corp ended up scoring a goal on 2 relatively simple, like, follow-up pressure goals. Take a shot, someone gets drawn out, and then they follow up with another shot. One thing to note throughout both of their series is of aggression from Moist. A lot of bump plays, a lot of demo plays that they've been able to pair together. Even this one here is kind of an off-ball play where Joyo's being bully to Itachi. Again, him not able to turn in, not able to get in front of it, make a challenge. It leaves for a shot in the midfield. From there, and you can kind of see in the timeline, it is a non-stop back and forth, trading shots and saves. And my biggest takeaway out of all this is primarily Itachi. Itachi was a player that, coming in, I always was excited. Obviously qualified in season 3, but because from Morocco, not an eligible spot, he got disqualified. We finally see him come back in, and I've always known him to be a pretty talented player, but the thing I took away most, and you see it in that save there as well, is his positioning is absolutely incredible. Not only does he have the mechanics and the flip reset capabilities, but he just always seems to be in the right place at the right time, whether it be offense or defense. Very urgent, very quick to the ball. His touches usually set up his teammates pretty well. Like, Itachi overall, like, he definitely earned my MVP this weekend for all the small nuances he was doing. It was pretty impressive. Eventually, the game ties up from a goofy goal from Exotic. His, like, momentum carries him through the challenge. I'll try to skip ahead to it. But, like, this play is kind of weird. So, like, it eventually, like, settles up. And hopefully it comes into this soon. But, like, he's going to come from the right-hand side and, like, just kind of falls into it after a 50. I think it's right here. Yeah, so he hits it. It gets saved, and then he ends up bonking into it. And, like, it's technically a dunk, I guess, but that's all that happens. So that's your, like, first 2 minutes of gameplay. It's tied 1-1. All that stuff is going down. And then nothing is scored for the next 7 minutes. Nothing. The crazy thing about this is this game could have been over. So on the backside, this is the point that I want to figure and focus out. So they're applying pressure. Everything's good. He gets his boost taken, so he's got to go rotate all the way outside of the field. Astral misses his challenge, and then he's met with this. Like, as a defender in that circumstance, to try to make the save, this should almost guaranteed be a goal. The only downfall, and I guess the biggest negative, is because they clear it past Astral, this ball goes pretty far downfield and is going to land somewhere in this area. So Astral, again, forces the issue, but what Rise does in a 1v2, he's got Vatira barreling down. Itachi's going to be able to either go wide for a pass, or they can just, like, pair this with a demo. It bounces in, and then, like, Itachi scores. Like, there's so many things that could happen here. But, like, just to give credit to the pressure these guys are under, again, the difference maker here, if he doesn't save this, the game's over. You now have a series that is tied up. It's a different situation. You're now on match point. Like, they could be facing defeat. Instead, Rise comes in. He fake challenges, so it forces them to, like, take a beat. Itachi then still chases him down. He manages to dodge that demo, force it high, break checks that, and then still has a 50 in front of the net to make a save. Like, that one play is then followed up by a couple more. They get a counterattack. They put a shot on target. It goes back and forth a bunch. And then still, like, 4 minutes later, we're still in this game. And somehow, because of that one save, they end up scoring and winning. Like, Joyo goes for like a suicide mission, I think, in the corner. He gets the boost. I don't know if he intentionally did it, but it ended up actually bumping somebody. If I go to Joyo's position, I think he does it here. Yeah, he goes for the corner boost, and that bump actually delays Itachi on the back wall, and they get an open net. Like, it's, again, it's the little things. You don't think about like how much of an impact, but like because of that one save, they're able to go for another like 4 minutes of gameplay. And then Joyo does what he does. You can kind of see it from Itachi's position as well to see like how much he gets bumped out of that because they're both rushing for boost. Comes across again, controls the field, tries to go for a bump. It's not there. Good clear by Joyo. Good control. They both race for the corner. Out of the play. Open net. Crazy stuff in game 2. All right, we jump into game 3, and both goals, ironically enough, bump and demo plays to open up the score. One comes off the kickoff, and then there's another one later, as you can see on in the game with the timeline. So kickoff goal, Joyo with the super aggressive challenges, bumps down, Rise sweeping through, double back, bumps one player, and Astral over the top. Not there. Shot in field. That's just good play, good find, etc. So the aggression immediately off the kickoff, a little bit of a bump play to keep the pressure. Solid play. We jumped in further on, and this is the one that kind of is the nail biter. Demo and a goal with the musty. Again, it's not just Calm doing it, everyone. It is a lot of play, good positional awareness. Air dribble forces up a defender. Astral finds a way to double back on it and keep his team possession. And then spatial awareness, finding a demo over the top. Excellent play. You even take a look at that from a different angle, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't want this video to be too long. But like, you look at the way this play develops. Draws one out. Itachi tries to get it. He gets beat. Vitir's got to challenge that immediately, but again, he's staying close. He's trying to force the hand of Joyo. So Zadok is like, oh yeah, I'm in the right position. I'm going to play this well. It's demoed out of play. Now Vitir is screwed. He's cheated up too far, and it's over. Insane stuff. We then go into the fourth and final game of the series. And again, of course, it's another kickoff goal from Moist. So, off the kickoff, they concede. Slow play because there's no boost. A good 50 by Astral. Can't get the second touch. Shot by Joyo. Not there. Makes it awkward. Good placement. I mean, you're talking top right, bottom left, top left, whatever you're aiming. It's always in a good position. 90 seconds later, we jump in. And we have a play from K-Corp with their own response. A bump play. But this bump play is so unconventional, and I just give so much credit to the way it is. So I'm going to let it play, and then we'll draw it back a little bit. And this is the unconventional part. Just blast them out of the way. It's actually nuts. So there's two people that are really pivotal in this one. Obviously, you got to talk about that challenge, but then the other one is actually, again, Itachi. The way that Itachi is ending up going for this is so impressive with the spatial awareness. So you're going to see Itachi, ball plays down, wins a 50. Exotic passes it over. Itachi's going to break check this. So Rise goes flying. He then waits for it. Flick over the top of Joyo. And then Astro, who looks like he's going to go for a shot, says, destroys the backboard, and they get a goal. Both these teams fight over and over again, and I love seeing this type of play. That aggression from Vatira is not something you should expect, but that's the type of stuff that you're seeing people do because it's the only way to open up the net on defense. We now jump into the second series, and again, Itachi massive standout and earns my MVP vote. The second series was K-Corp winning 4-1. This is the semifinals move to the grand finals before K-Corp eventually ended up beating Quadrant. In game one, yet another back and forth. You can see it by the timeline at the bottom. A bunch of saves. Goes back and forth, and primarily is actually Moist applying that pressure. There's a forced error, but it's a well-placed shot from Itachi that ends up going in. And then Rise eventually responds. Gorgeous air dribble over all three defenders. So let's jump ahead to that. So jumping ahead, we see the play. In the midfield, it's challenged back and forth. Pretty standard. And the well-placed shot. Again, another bump play. Challenges in the midfield. Both teams trying to sweep through, deny boost. The typical. That shot is a forced error. That's the forced error I was talking about. It's nothing too crazy. Nothing that we really need to point out. You're going to see it more so And Astral tries to delay that for his teammate who's back. Exotic just off the recovery shot. Probably would have went in on the first goal. It doesn't. It bounces out. Makes a mistake. Immediately after this air dribble from, I'm pretty sure it's Rise, is just fantastic. So off the kickoff, they apply some pretty good pressure. And eventually this one's going to kick out, and then it's going to go to the back right corner, I'm pretty sure. Back right corner. Good trap. Rise cuts it in, doesn't go to the wall. Immediate counterattack, air dribble over 1, 2, and 3. And he puts it in. That ties it up. Impressive stuff. And another aggressive battle. Eventually it is an OT that it is K-Corp who ends up winning. These small differences are really what make or break a lot of these teams. Is like winning and securing these overtimes just keeps them in it. And it's so tough too. I talk about, like in the title of this video, them jockeying for position. It is the small different nuances. I mean, Vatira wins what, like 250s here to end up winning this on like what is 10 boost. So Itachi gets one, gets another, and then he passes it. Not Vatira, Itachi, my apologies. Again, talk about MVP caliber play. He's crushing it. Up next, we're going to jump into game 2, about a minute and a half in. It's going to be a demo play. So Rise forces the demo, and he causes that break check by Exotic. If we want to slow it down, you can see the way that he applies it. So initially, that challenge does force the ball to the corner. It's going to roll down. Itachi's looking to trap this and then like dribble it out. Maybe he forces a 50 somewhere in this area. Rise is going to sweep through, demo him, which causes this ball to delay. But the thing he does separately is kind of just trying to create that circumstance. So he gets a demo, removes Itachi. He's also going to sweep across. And Exotic, who wants to come in and support that, also has to back up to avoid the demo. It's a really smart play from Rise. The only downfall is this is also the like one, I guess, thing about Rocket League that I hope they end up changing, which is the one thing of RNG, which is like a demo respawn. You don't get to pick where you spawn. It is random, and it forces, I talked about in that last replay, the lanes. You have 1, 2, and 3. Usually you don't want to overlap. It's going to actually force all 3 players here because of the respawn and the checking back for support because Exotic had to stop. Rise is a nuisance. He's so clutch and he does so many good things and still doesn't get enough credit. So that break check, Vatir recognizes it. He tries to move it in to help. Joe forces a 50. Astro with just a quick pop and gets a goal. Really well initiated by Rise. Super smart play. We jump ahead a little bit in the replay and you're going to see them tied up with 41 seconds left. It's a solo play from Vatira, and then it leads us to a pretty crazy overtime, which we'll get into. But this one is actually because of 2 saves that create a weird drop down. Air dribble from Astral ends up drawing up a defender, and then it leaves a shot for the teammates. So that's how they ended up getting the second goal. But you're going to see this one here, the solo play from Vatira off the ceiling. Great recovery into a touch over, flip reset. Again, like, I don't know how you defend that. People are just built different. So that's at 41 seconds. They tied up. And then over the next, like, what, 4 to 5 minutes, you see 12 saves between both teams, like, total. So you jump all the way ahead, and it gets us 4 minutes into overtime where you see Vatira do Vatira things yet again. So if we go to Vatira's perspective, staying patient on the backboard, Itachi trying to make something happen. Break check, still patient, still patient. Good 50 challenge, low boost, another 50. That allows them to keep pressure. Dimes up for Itachi. He's there. Talk about the little things. Like, again, this is something that a lot of people just probably aren't going to appreciate, and maybe it's just me, but again, this challenge in itself is so intelligent. He's got 30 boost. He knows Joyo essentially is going to see that he's challenging head on and is going to play that inside. So he jumps a little bit further off the wall. That way he can cover and challenge inwards if he needs to. If he decides to fake it, he can still also put himself in a position to challenge if it goes outwards. Like, Joyo in this position is SOL. He either has to force a 50 by playing it slow and just sitting behind it, or needs to pop it high as quickly as possible. But based upon the positioning that Vatir has, he can do all 3 things and cover every angle. Goes wide. You see Joyo try to cut it back inside. He challenges back into it. No boost. Another 50. And then from there, immediately rotates out, trusts his teammates, gets back in rotation. If he needs to go back in, he can collect pads and do it again. These are the small differences that are allowing them to beat each other. Between both of these teams, I talk about trying to fight and battle. It's close every single time. Now, I could Go and break down game 3 and game 4. Moist ended up calling a timeout and scoring off the kickoff immediately, like 2 seconds into the next game. They score a second about a minute later on a counterattack with demos and stuff. And then Rise demos and flicks and dribbles and a bunch of really crazy stuff. But overall, the next 2 games from Cape Corp, they close out the series 6-1. There's a bunch of solo plays and ridiculous shots from the top right corner from K Corp. And the 1 goal from Moist is, ironically enough, yet another kickoff goal in the final 10 seconds of game 4. So again, a lot of really cool things that you're seeing over the course of like 2 series, and contrasting results as well, where like Moist was so convincing in the first one due to aggression and kickoffs going in their favor and like some of the bump plays, but then you see that also still carry over. The biggest thing I take away from K Corp is they do want to challenge just about everything, but if you can force them high and keep them grounded, it might lead to some better opportunities. But you see that, and then K Corp continues to completely change up the pace. They break check, they do all those other things, and it looks it's fun to watch. I'm a fan of Rocket League, watching these 2 play. I'm excited to see them both at the major, and everybody in Europe should be very happy that like I am super convinced that both Moist and K Corp are going to go and represent, and we haven't even talked about Quadrant yet. So cool stuff. Let me know what you guys think. If you like these replays, if you like this kind of analysis, if you like these kind of in-depth things, a lot less drawing and breakdown of specific plays this time. This was more of just like an appreciation of watching these 2 Titans fight back and forth despite the roster changes. And cool stuff. As always, like, subscribe, notifications, and hopefully more of these in the future.